Good morning to you. Like that pause. Good morning to you. This is Mr. R2 here. Why is my headphones low? This is Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. It is Friday. For those who can't wait for the weekend, now what are you going to do? It's here. It's Friday. It's the last day of the week. It may be the beginning of others' work week because they start their work on Friday. I don't know. Whatever it is for you. But the one thing that we all do know today is Friday, January the 27th. So it is the end of the month. So if you have a birthday that is at the end of January, it's coming. So for those that have birthdays coming up, again, happy birthday to you. And for those who birthday just passed, happy belated birthday to you. For all my February babies, your birthday is around the corner for whatever it is that you want to celebrate. If you celebrate all 29, 28 days, I don't think it's leap year yet. So where I get 29 from. If you celebrate all 28 days for your birthday in February, happy birthday month for you. Today is Friday, and I want you to enjoy your weekend, especially if you had a hard week. Enjoy your weekend because you're worthy of having an enjoyable weekend. And today we're talking about the power of refinement. The power of refinement. As you can see right here, got the little graphic on the left side, then the power of refinement on the right side, just to give you a little bit more insight in what we're going to be talking about. Because refinement is a repeated process. It is something that happens only after you acknowledge that something need to happen and something need to take place. So what I want you to do right now is I want to learn from you. Good morning, Miss Scott. Okay. She's a regular. She's a regular. TGIF. Yes, thank God it's Friday. Some of y'all are like, man, I got to work today. So what? You got people who do not have employment and you're complaining about the employment that you do have. Let your bills tell you, thank God it's Friday because you're able to pay that bill today that you probably wouldn't have had if you keep complaining about what you do have. All right. Too easy. All right. So again, we thank you about just being here and being in this space. So we're just going to jump in it like we do every Friday. We give our international shout outs and thank the people that listen to the podcast in our podcast distribution. So again, United States, we appreciate you for listening. We got people that's listening in India, Nigeria, Germany, Italy, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Canada, Kenya, United Kingdom, South Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, France, Netherlands, thank you. Pakistan, thank you. Russia, thank you. United Arab, I always chew that name up. So I be like skipping it. I'll look it up. I'll listen to how they say it. Australia, Algeria, Saudi Arabia, Nepal, Uganda, uh, what? Burundi, I think. That's a new one. Morocco, Mexico, New Zealand, Ireland, Turkey, Slovenia, Namibia, Dominican Republic. Thank you. Austria. Thank you. U.S. Virgin Islands, Thailand, Ethiopia. Thank you. Malaysia. Thank you. Belgium. We appreciate you. Philippines. Thank you. Latvia. Thank you. Denmark. Thank you. Belize. Thank you. Uzbekistan. We appreciate you. And our greatest listeners is coming from the Apple podcast. As you see, 57% of our listeners are listening to it on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to listen to Consistency is Currency while you take your run or your walk or whatever it is, and you're able to go to Apple Podcasts, especially for you iPhone people out there, you can go to Apple Podcasts, do a search for Consistency is Currency, and listen to all the other podcasts that happened previously. You got the web browser, we got Google Podcasts coming up strong, Spotify, Audible coming as well as we thank you and we appreciate you. All right, here we go. Genders, who did good this week? Well, not a good or bad, just where was it? Okay, 50-50. All right, peace. I like that. 50-50 male and female. Age group. Okay, who's this 70 in the age? What age group is this? Because this is tripping. Okay, 28 to 34, 70% of our listeners. Then it goes to 23 to 27 and 35 to 44. So we thank you and appreciate you for listening, especially in the international waters. And for all of our youth that's listening, we thank you as well. So let's go ahead and get into the program. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Russell. All right, so let me pull up the lesson plan just so you know with these slides. So we can go ahead and jump in this real quick. All right, so the power of refinement is what we're communicating about today. The power of refinement. All right, so for those that know the platform, you know you're going to get definitions. You're not going to get etymology today, but you're just going to get definitions, and we're going to flip and invert the definition into something a little bit more relevant into today. A lot of times these definitions that are the definitions that have been written, they were written a long time ago. But what we do here on this platform, we define the word and we flip it and invert it into something that is presently possibly happening to you right now. And then when I say red over white, you pay attention to the words that are in red. If I say white over red, you pay attention to those words that are in white. And then you, as an interactive listener, can drop jewels. If you see it as red over white, you can drop how you see it. And then people can come in and view your response. Ready? Bet. Let's go. All right. The very first definition of refinement is the process of removing impurities or unwanted elements from a substance. Remember, we're talking about the power of refinement. Let me put this caption up real quick for those who come in as the show is going. And I want you to answer this question. Do you think, wow, I put thing. I'm going to correct that. I'm not going to go on the show and the thing is in there and it's supposed to be think. I got to fix that. That's what refinement is about. Do you think, there it go. Do you think that there is power in refinement? That's a question that you can answer. Do you think that there is power in refinement? Good morning, Ta Da Lee. I'll be saying it like I'm slow, but it's cool. All right. So again, the first definition is the process of removing impurities or unwanted elements from a substance. And the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is the process of removing impurities or unwanted elements. Like, why did you pick this to be the inversion, Mr. R2? I'm going to tell you why. Don't you think there are elements about you that you need to refine? I mean, the only way for you to look at it as it needs some sort of refinement is you have to look at it for what it is to you. Because again, as you see the process, that means you're doing something. You're actively engaged about what needs to be corrected about you, and you are actively removing those impurities and those unwanted elements. It's the process. It's not the conversation. It's the process. It's not you running your mouth. It's the process. It's not you listening to what everybody else is saying, but it is it's the process, because you've given ownership to it. It's the process. It's this thing that I need to change. It is that thing that need to be removed. These are the impurities that I have, or the unwanted elements that I have. That's what need to be changed. The process. That means you're going through it. It does not mean that you're running from it. It does not mean that you're trying to circumvent it. It does not mean that you're trying to go about it the roundabout way. No, it's the process of removing. That means I know what it is and I have it in me that I need to get rid of it. So therefore I must remove it if I'm ever going to be refined within my thoughts or be refined in the places that I go, because I want to remove it because it's an unwanted element. It's an unwanted element. So what are your unwanted elements right now? Is it smoking, drinking? Is it drugs? Is it porn? Is it sex? Is it sabotage? Is it doubt? Is it fear? Is it eating, whatever it is. Are you trying to stick with the diet or stick with the workout, whatever it is the process of removing the impurities or unwanted elements. And the second definition that I want you to pay attention to is the improvement or clarification of something or by making of small changes. The improvement or clarification of something by making of small changes, by the making of small changes. So the inversion, hey, y'all stop being selfish. Take this live and share it because y'all know some folks that's in your circle that need some refinement. If it ain't you, it's somebody you know that needs some refinement. So go ahead and take this live and share it in the group or tag somebody that you know that need to be listening because it's a process. Maybe you might be a part of that process. You never know. All right. So again, the definition is the improvement or clarification of something by the making of small changes. And the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is red over white, which is the improvement by the making of small changes. Don't you know that small changes is still change? I think a lot of times, especially when we really begin to beat ourselves up, we're trying to make an instant change and a big, massive change. But we need to change where change can be changed. Even small changes is a change. Even small improvements is an improvement. Even your small victories is still a victory. You can't eat the whole elephant all at once. You have to take your time and take the moment to notice that this is something that I need to change, but let me start here. That small change is still a change. Stop beating yourself up. Stop pushing yourself in a hole that you created. You walking around with a shovel, digging these holes and falling in these holes and asking yourself, why am I still in this hole? It's because you dug it. Make those small changes and get out of the holes that you're digging for yourself. Because it said it is the improvement, not what someone else need to be doing for you, because that's the concept that you have. But when are you going to improve? It's the improvement, your improvement by the making of small changes. When it says by the making, that means you made it on purpose, specifically for small change. By the making of small change. That means it's your work, not somebody else's work, your work. And it's not going to be made to change until you understand that it needs to be the improvement. Let me flip it on this a little bit. Let's go white. Let's go white real quick. Because it says or the clarification of something. So how much more clarity do you need that an improvement need to be made? Until you lose it all? Until you keep hitting that same brick wall and thinking the brick is going to get softer? The brick is not going to turn into a water balloon and pop. The only thing that's going to pop is your head. The clarification, the writing on the wall has always been there, but now the improvement needs to take place because the clarification has been established. But by the making of small change. And the next definition that I want to put out there, and then we're going to go into the deep dive. So this definition says the result of improving something. And the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is red over white, which is the result of improving. What I want you to put, we already know who something is. Put your name at the end. The result of improving Ronnie, or the result of improving Tori, or the result of improving Jaquan, or the result of improving Tadali, or the result of improving KB. That's because you're personalizing it, because you understand that there is a process. The improvement has to be you, not someone else, because when you strive to make someone else the improvement, then you're not going to give it the same type of energy because you didn't do it. So it's going to hit different, like people say. It has to come from you, because when it comes from you, it is as real as it's going to get. So put it out there. The result of improving, and put your name right there. Personalize it, because it's not something, is you. That's you understanding that the realization of my improvement has to come from me, because the result of improving came from those small changes we just talked about. Even a small change is a result of improving where you came from. Even small changes is a result of improving just the way you see it, the way you've acknowledged it, the way you've given life to it, or the way that you've stopped doing that thing or stopped going to this place. It is as a result of improving. Like, I don't do this anymore. Why? Because it is a result of me acknowledging that those are the impurities that I need to extract from myself, or those are the impurities that I need to remove from me. Those are the elements, those unwanted elements that I have to remove myself from. Hey, I'm just giving you definition. Every definition that you can see right now, it's all in the book. But I'm just inverting it just so you can see it in a much more relevant shape. Let's go into this deep dive, because we're talking about the power of refinement. The power of refinement. So, one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to minimize your pain. I'm not going to minimize your struggle, because I'm not going to make it like it's not insignificant, because it is, because we all go through it. What I do want to do is to maximize you. We go through enough that minimizes us all the time, but we only stay in that minimal mind state when we allow ourselves to stay in that minimal mind state. But I want to maximize you and maximize your interpretation of power. Because if there is power in refinement, then you need to maximize your process of thought. You need to maximize knowing what those unwanted elements that need to be removed are. Because when you begin to understand the new interpretation of power and maximizing yourself, now you have the ability to maximize your vision as well as your faith, and maximize the purpose of your discovery. Like, what have you discovered about you? Because change takes place only after the willing is willing to change. You got people that want to go places in their life, but they're not willing to do what is required of them to change in order for them to receive what is supposed to be theirs. But they want to talk and run their mouth and do other things that make it seem like it's the facade, but they don't really want to do the work, the process, because every definition that you've seen, there was the word "the" in front of it, because it is what it is. If it is something that needs to be removed, then remove that particular element, because that's what it is. It says the improvement, the result. Stop running away from it, because oftentimes we let our struggles become the power in the room, or we let our pain become our own particular identity. But don't you know that the bills still going to get paid, still need to be paid, even when you're in your pain? The days of the week won't change. I mean, the days of the week will constantly and consistently change, even when you're in your struggle, because that means life goes on. When are you going to begin to shift your story? When are you going to begin to remove those unwanted elements? When are you going to begin to pick yourself up and stop laying in your own self pity? That's why it's called self pity, because self made it to stay there. You made yourself stay there, but the only person that can get you up is after you have defined what that element is that need to be removed. Because if it didn't happen, it just didn't happen. But now what are you going to do about it? Like, what have you learned after the rain has stopped? I mean, that's an honest question. I mean, we go through things like these things that we go through is for the moment. It doesn't have to be permanent. It can just be the situation that we found ourselves in. We don't have to transition those situations into problems because we need to handle it at the level of situation. When are you going to remove those elements that need to be removed in order for you to be refined, or in order for you to understand that the things that you've made is has been changed only as the result of improvement? Like, what happened after you pushed yourself through it? I mean, you might learn that you actually were stronger than you thought. You might learn that you actually had more in you than you thought. You were a lot more resilient than you thought, because refinement is an evolution of change. It is something that evolves out of something. Those small victories and those small improvements is dealing with the evolution of you, and the evolution of your thoughts can really begin to change how you manifest things, how you see it, because how you see it is based on how you say it. Like, I don't think I'm going to make it. Okay, bet. You're 100% right. I know I'm going to make it. Okay, correct. You are 100% right. Those two people that said those two things are 100% right. But which one are you actually going to feed? What element are you going to remove in order for the evolution of change to be the result of improvement? Refinement is a series of changes, but true refinement happens when you give power to it in order for it to actually begin the process of healing you and removing those unwanted elements that you either deal with, or those unwanted elements that you need to walk away from. That's refinement. And yes, there is power in refinement, because you're going to be able to think different. You may be able to laugh more. You may be able to smile more. You may be able to deal with your situations a lot more, because you're refining yourself by celebrating those small victories and changing the way that you process your thoughts. If today is your day, then you say that today is my day. It's another day for me to be successful. It's another day for me to change. It's another day to execute whatever it is. It has to come out of your mouth. Not, oh, I don't know what's going on today. It's because you ain't playing for it. You ain't do nothing about it. So ain't nothing going to get done about it. Stop crying and wipe your tears and do something about it. Yeah, that might sound harsh or hard. I'm not concerned with how you feel right now. I'm more concerned about what you think right now, because the way that you think can actually alter how you feel. Like think about it. It's like a ulcer. Those butterflies, the butterflies or the ulcer that you get, both of them are started by the process of thought. Your fear is started by the process of thought. I said it before. Fear is not real. Fear is just a response on how you're thinking about it. That's what makes it real. Based on the response of your mindset, based on the response of the process of how you're thinking about that thing. That's when it becomes real. When you make it real. You can't go to the store and buy fear. I mean, you can go to the store and buy happiness, the things that make you happy, but you're not going to go to the store and buy fear. Fear is the byproduct of the process of thoughts. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. Miss Barry, good morning. Haven't seen you in a minute. Good morning, Miss Myrick. But nah, I want y'all to close out today as strong as you open this week. Can you do that for me, Mr. R2? Here at Consistency is Currency. Can you close out today as strong as you started this week? Like I've always said this month, reconcile with whatever you felt that you did not complete. Reconcile with it and then begin to remove those unwanted elements. And then I promise you the results of what you remove will change how you execute. All right, that's enough. But nah, man, I appreciate you for being here. I'll see you Monday at 7:30 right here. If you ever want to go back and listen to it after I finish with at the live, I downloaded the audio part, convert the M4A into an MP3, upload it into the podcast distribution, and then it will be out in the audio. So it will be on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Spotify and Anchor. So whatever platform that you choose, that you have, that I said, I'm on there. Go ahead and listen to the old ones, and you can subscribe too. But what I want to hear from you is, one, what have you processed from today's message in the Power Refinement? Put that in the chat. I'm interested in learning what you have extracted out of what was said this morning. Y'all be blessed. Peace.